online editor here, and you probably have all heard the news by now. Peter McGough has finally passed away. He passed away yesterday after a very long, very brave fight with cancer. He was diagnosed 8 years ago, and I believe at the time he was given like a year to live, 2 years to live. So clearly he had a powerful will to live, uh, made it much longer, and thank God because he really was one of the best people I ever knew in my life. And far beyond his talent, far beyond what an amazing writer he was. And he's the greatest writer we ever had in this industry, in the bodybuilding world. We're never going to have anybody like that ever again. Um, just want to remember some things. I mean, the first time I became aware of Peter was probably 1991. I was working for American Sports Network in California, and we used to get this tabloid. It wasn't printed like a magazine; it was printed like a tabloid newspaper, but it was a bodybuilding newspaper magazine called Pumping Press, and Peter put that out. It was so innovative because up until then, and for a while longer, there was no internet. If there was a contest, you didn't see the pictures and then get the report on the contest in the bodybuilding magazines of that time, like Flex, Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development, Iron Man, Muscle Mag. It would take a good 6 weeks, but he figured out if he could do it in a tabloid format, like a newspaper, he could get it out much quicker, and you'd see contest results and pictures a week later, whereas the other magazines, we'd be waiting around for literally six weeks, 8 weeks. It would be a long time, and it was also around that time in Pumping Press. He was hyping up this new guy, Dorian Yates, who he had basically discovered. He was at Dorian's first contest, where Dorian was just went in and won the novice division in 1985, and he was the one that really saw the potential in this young man, made him a star, made sure he met everyone he needed to meet as far as photographers, people in the industry. And it wasn't too much longer after I became a Pumping Press that Joe Weider, at the time, recognized not only Peter's talent as a writer, but just as the way he was able to get things done. He was just so efficient. He made him the editor in chief of Flex magazine, and I believe he served in that capacity for about 10 years. And man, in the '90s, Flex magazine, I'm with MD, but Flex magazine in the '90s, they were the bomb, guys. They were amazing. You had Peter's writing, which he had this. He was an actual writer. I try, but he had a way with words. He had a gift with prose and describing things. He could really make you feel like you were at the contest watching this person. And this is before you could, you didn't have live streams. You didn't have anything like that back then. The only way you were ever going to see footage of a contest back then was when they maybe put out the VHS tape of it for purchase a couple months later. But we had Peter writing amazing reports on these shows. He knew all. He would be backstage. He would get to know the athletes. He would do interviews and profiles. He made you feel like you were part of that experience. And this was long before social media and everything made these people so much more accessible. Peter was that for us. So Flex magazine in the '90s, you had his writing, you had Chris Lund's photography, and together in articles they were just wow. And both out of the UK. And I always wished I could meet Peter. I always wished I could work with him in some capacity, and I never thought it would happen because he was with Flex. He was with the Weider magazines for so long, and he did such an amazing job for them. I figured he'd be with them forever. But somewhere around 2014, at some point around 2014, 15, I want to say, uh, he left. He wasn't writing for a little while or not much. And then Steve Bleckman with the Muscular Development hired him, made him the head writer, the senior writer. And, we were privileged to have Peter's writing in our magazine for several years. Personally, I have to thank Peter for being such a mentor to me because in very early 2017, I was offered the job. It was pretty much I had to take it. There was really no one else that could do it that way, I guess, of online editor. I didn't want the job. I was really intimidated by the whole prospect of going to all these shows and covering shows and still doing my writing for the magazine at the same time. I was freaking out, and Peter was kind enough. We had several good conversations on the phone, and he really talked me off the ledge and made me really, said, "You can do this, Ron. One step at a time. This and that." And he talked me through it, gave me the confidence, and I was lucky enough to work with him at several of the contests that followed. He would always go to the Arnold and the Olympia usually. He lived in Florida at the time with his wife Ann. Um, but I'm so glad I did get to know Peter a little bit. I wish I'd known him longer. I wish I'd known him better. He was just, like I said, far beyond his talents, and he was so talented. He was such a good writer. There's still a lot of his writing online if you Google it and everything. But beyond that, he was just such a good person. If you talk to him for even a couple minutes, he had a great sense of humor. He was so humble. He was so generous, so kind. You instantly felt like this was like your favorite uncle or your dad or something. I lost my dad when I was young, and Peter wasn't really old enough to be my dad, but I sort of looked up to him, at least in terms of the industry and everything, as a father figure. He was just such a good man. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Everyone that knew Peter would say similar things. Everybody got along with him. Everybody loved Peter. I mean, he's one of those people that you couldn't help but like. He was just a good person. He emanated positive energy. He always made you feel like you could reach your goals, whatever they were. He was kind and generous to everybody, the athletes, people he worked with, the fans. I saw him many times take at contests if a fan wanted to talk about something like the 1980 Olympia, that's something he would do it. He had time for everybody. He would make time for everybody. He was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I'm sorry we've lost him, but I'm happy that he's not going to be in pain anymore. He's not suffering, and yeah, that's all. We all have to go sometime, and I believe in an afterlife. I believe I will see him again, and that's it. I just want to say rest in peace, Peter. You'll be missed. You were deeply loved by everybody that knew you, and thanks for everything, Peter. I could never thank him enough for how much inspiration he was to me, and how helpful and encouraging he was to me. He was always just so supportive, and he was that way with everybody. You know. So that's it. Hopefully, this was the very end of a terrible year, and it's bad news that Peter's gone. I wish we could have had more time, but yeah, he's in a better place. I hope. I believe. So that's it, guys. Please have a very safe New Year's. We all want to be around tomorrow for 2021.